Is this hero viable in the early game? I mean, that is pretty much the one question I feel like every single person has every time a regular hero comes out. And the quick and short answer is probably no. Luna is very much a typical assassin in this game from the looks of her skills. I didn't see anything in here about, like healing. She doesn't really have any damage reduction built in, or from her skills she has the ability to lower the enemy's damage reduction, but that does seem to be a very similar theme with assassins right now, as well as continuous additional attacks. If you meet this condition and then you meet this condition and then you meet this condition, then she'll do okay damage. I'm sure not overpowered damage. So yeah, let's talk about Luna. She is the new Fortress Assassin hero coming next week with the special event, and I'm hoping the special event is just that, something special, because the hero doesn't seem like it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Hit that subscribe button. We are up to 91,350 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for the support so far. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so let's take a look at this skill card for Luna. She has an active skill, which again, like most, you need a PhD to understand, but it reads Merciless Shadow. Deals attack damage to random enemies, prioritizing attacking the target with Pale Moon Impress. Meanwhile, bleeds the target, dealing attack damage for several rounds. Okay, that's not too bad. Pale Moon Impress is kind of like the special ability she'll put, I think, on the lowest HP target. If the target has Pale Moon Impress, deals extra damage with a crit guaranteed, which again always sounds good on paper, but it is what it is. Afterwards, here's the if part. If the target's HP is below a certain percentage, which we don't know, they'll take attack damage. Again, crit is guaranteed one more time. And then if the HP's of the target is below another certain percentage after this attack, they'll take the same attack one more time. So you can do hit the random enemies, which we don't know how many that's going to be. I think as many targets have Pale Moon Impress on it is the key part here. It'll then bleed the target, then it'll attack the target if it has Pale Moon Impress, then it will hit the target again if they're below a certain HP, and then they'll hit them again if they're below a certain HP. So there's like up to 5 hits. And it says if the target doesn't have Pale Moon Impress, inflicts it on them for several rounds. Okay, cool. Doesn't actually talk too much about what it is. We'll get to that. Pale Moon Impress. Oh, I zoomed in a little bit too hard. Oh no, I didn't realize we were off just a little bit on size here. Let me shrink this back down a little bit. You can see the whole thing here. Whoops, I did not know we were zoomed in a little too much there, boys and girls. I apologize, but there we go. Yeah, now we can actually see what it does. Pale Moon Impress, skill effect, not stackable, reduces the target's damage reduction. So not horrible. The target she is going for will have less damage reduction. Downside here is she increases her own attack, crit damage, control immunity, and speed. Now, the last hero that came out, it looked like this, and then they came out with damage reduction. However, this one, maybe it's the same, but heroes without damage reduction typically don't do well in the early game, and that's really the only time this hero is even potentially a candidate for viability. Silver Light Piercing. Changes the basic attack to deals attack damage to the lowest HP target. Meanwhile, bleeds the target, dealing attack damage for several rounds, and inflicts Pale Moon Impress on them for several rounds. If the target already has it, it will reduce the target speed. Again, a stat we really don't care about whatsoever. Then it says, Moonlight Double Vision passive skill. After killing an enemy, inflicts Pale Moon Impress on random enemies without it. We don't know how many or for how many rounds. And then you enter Haunting Shadow for several rounds. Meanwhile, increases self-speed and attack for several rounds. That's okay. That Haunting Shadow skill effect kind of phase that we go into says under this effect, the active skill attacks targets instead. So it sounds like if you're under Haunting Shadow, you will attack more targets with your active skill, and then additionally restores energy for self after releasing basic attack. So maybe that's like if you use a base attack and you're at 0 energy, you get 50 for the attack, and then you get an additional 50 maybe to go right into an active in the next round. That's not too bad, but it really depends on if an ally can kill the enemy or if she does. But at the same time, like, I mean, I guess if she has enough round 1 burst, then like round 2 could be something really, really impressive. As far as artifacts, they say energy or Punisher. Ain't nobody using Punisher. I'm sorry. Maybe an energy hero, but again, assassin heroes don't typically run energy. I guess energy doesn't, I mean, it doesn't really make sense because you want to try to kill something quick to get Pale Moon Impressed maybe in round 1. So maybe this works. I don't know, but a lot of her attacks are guaranteed crit, so I don't know if you want to prioritize going crit on this build. And then her tenants probably are one of the most atrocious things I have ever seen. We got Yormtum or Natasha, both garbage assassins for stat lines. We have Saya in the slot too, which is not great. Patricia, okay, that's all right. Holmes Young, that's okay as well. But again, I feel like you'd rather build a Holmes Young than this hero any day of the week. And then Trashy Lago in the slot for another assassin. So not exactly easy tenants to build. And I just don't understand why DH Games has this need to make new heroes just completely useless. Because I mean, we'll test her this week in the early game, but raise your hand if you think these skills say I can compete with a Tix or an Eloise, because I don't think so. The other thing that's confusing is she has all these background images. You notice these are all the backgrounds they use for shadow heroes. Yet she's a fortress hero, so it really does confuse me. Maybe she was a shadow assassin and she was converted into a fortress hero by Ormus. If you guys saw the lore and the story, then maybe that is the situation we're in. But like, number 1, no damage reduction. Number 2, there's absolutely no self-healing. Now, I guess you could run something like Balanced Strike on her if you have a very high crit chance as well, and that would suffice as a very good healing method. But as you guys have seen, you kind of need passive healing like an Eloise has, or insane damage like a Tick. So if somehow she does insane damage, then she might be viable. But even like Ithacal back in the day wasn't as good as Ticks, and she did have healing and insane burst damage. So yeah, I don't know. She does definitely look like Eloise's sister, doesn't she? Like, I swear that's like Eloise's face right there. I was looking at it earlier. I'm like, yeah, that definitely feels like that could be Eloise's like twin or something. And maybe she was an assassin in, again, the Shadow faction and then converted over. But yeah, this is the only part that kind of intrigues me, is after killing an enemy, inflicts Pale Moon Empress on random enemies. Like, that has potential. Because if she can kill one enemy in round 1, then maybe somehow, like, you can have an Ignis die and feed her energy for another active in round 2. Because it depends on how many targets there are. Because then if you can hit all of them with this, because they will have Pale Moon Impress on them, you'll do the extra hits. And then if they drop certain HP, you'll hit them multiple times. I mean, there is potential. There's definitely potential, as we saw with Yormtum, Lord of Sparkles. It could work out, but man, assassins just feel hit or miss. Now, this could be an overpowered Transcendence hero by the way the skills read and if they upgrade them, but we'll have to see on that side as well. I don't know. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I did miss the stream last night. We had some family stuff going on, just a short stream, so we'll get one tonight. All right, hopefully you guys enjoy this one. See you guys next time.